Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. Welcome to YoungMartin'sReels. I don't know that this video is ever going to make it, but I'm going to take this ABU Garcia Appexx reel and try to restore it and see if I can make it fully functional again. Right now, it's not functioning very well at all. It's bound up. It's gummed up. I can't even spin it fast enough to even tell if the bail's tripping properly. Let's see. Okay, it does trip. But yeah, you can't hardly turn it. The drag at least is functional. So let's get busy on this, see what we can do. Get this guy up and running. And I don't know if I'll post this video or not. This is one I was not intending to do a video on. We'll see what we do. Okay, got that done. Let's go ahead and remove the handle. Handle slides out. All right, that's good. Let's remove the 4 side plate screws and see if we can remove the side plate. All right, all 4 of those side plate screws are the same size. Let's see if we can pop this open. There we go. Okay. And the grease in it doesn't seem to be that old. Shouldn't be causing it to gum up that bad. Okay, it's got a bushing instead of a bearing. Let's see if we can pop that bushing off. Yep, there we go. That's okay. We got a shim washer, at least one. Let's see if there's another one on the other side. Nope, just one shim washer. Okay, and that's not going to come out yet. So let's rotate this around and bring the crosswind block down to the bottom. That. Okay, let's go ahead. Oh, that was already loose screw. Okay, screws out. Axle shaft, nope. Okay, this is an, oh, by the way, this is an ABU Garcia Appexx reel. I've never heard of an Appexx before. And so far, I don't see a part number, but if I discover one along the way, we'll see about getting that out there to you. Yeah. Okay. All right, so far, so good. We got the axle out. Let's see if we can take the main gear out. And it did. And it's got one of these tensioners right here. That's for your anti-reverse. It goes right there in that slot. So, okay, we got that. Well, it's been 3.5 hours since I was on here last. I got interrupted by a phone call. The phone call was that my boat was ready to be picked up at the boat repair shop. So I'm back now. Boat's safely put away and ready to go fishing next week. And it's time to see what we can do with this reel or finish it up. All right, let's go ahead and take out the crosswind gear. There we go. That's out. Crosswind block is out. Those need to go in and get cleaned. All right. Yeah, this is still feeling really slow. So that seems to be the problem. It's just old grease. There's the other bushing. Okay. All right. Now, you don't see too many of these in reels, but occasionally you will find one of these bend up tabs. And what you got to do is you got to bend the tab down like that in order to remove the nut. There we go. Okay. And we're going to slide off the rotor. And let's not lose that keeper. Okay, this whole thing needs to get definitely, wow, this is a really dirty reel also. But there's our anti-reverse cam right there. That came off reasonably easy. Don't lose the shim washer. Okay. All right, is there a spring holding that? No. No spring. It's only done by the lever or the spring that is on the main gear. All right, we've got 2 screws here to remove. we should be able to pull out the pinion, and the what I thought was a bearing is not a bearing. It is a, wow. It's supposed to hold that. And oh, okay, this goes down inside like that, and then it fits inside. That's what gives, okay. But that's where we're gummed up. That old grease in there doesn't want to allow that to turn. Okay, well, at least we can see what it is. Now it's made. All right, slide this out, and it does have a shim washer in there. All right, set that over to the side. That brings us down to this case and this rear drag. Let's go ahead and see if we can remove the screw. We did. And we should now be able to unscrew this all the way. Nope. Okay, well, let's pull off. Nope. Okay. There. Okay, I was going to say it should either pull off or unscrew, one or the other. Wow, I can't even see the spring. It's so dirty. All right, let's clean some of the dust and dirt off of this. All right, that brings us down to this spring, which, all right, we'll hook into this spring, maybe. Maybe not. I have to do it this way from the inside. And let's see. Should have a small, there we go. Small jewelers. Stick that in here. We should be able to get hold of that spring and push it out. But it doesn't want to. There we go. Finally got worked under it. Yeah, it just had so much dirt in there, it wouldn't pry itself out. There we go. All right. Yeah, the dirt was holding it in place. Here's a spring. That over there. All right, now this should unscrew. Like so. And it did. Wow. Okay. Looks good, and the spring is in good shape. I mean, it needs to be cleaned, but aside from that, it looks okay. All right, now, let's see if we can get that to push out. There. Okay. There's our stack up. All right, now, this is just basic standard stack. Okay, we got 2 eared washers, 1 keyed washer, and 1, 2, 3, 4 drag washers. Oh, the dust in this thing's getting to me. Okay, we got the drag washer on the front, which is a hard phenolic drag washer. Okay, now we've got the assembly spindle. Okay, then we have a drag washer. This is a plastic one. Then we have an eared washer, and we call it that because it's got the 2 little ears on it. Okay, then we have another hard phenolic drag washer. Then we have this keyed washer, which is called a keyed because it's keyed on the inside. See how it's got the flats? Okay, then we have another drag washer, and then the last eared washer. Okay, and okay, I'm going to take those. That's okay. That's okay. Those are okay. I don't need to wash those. All right, look at the dirt in this thing. Wow. Okay, that's got all of this ready to go back together when the time comes. All right. Now, we got, okay, is there anything left here? There's no need to take this anti-reverse lever out. We'll use it just the way it is. There's the lever that locks it, keeps it from being in anti-reverse. Okay, so that's working. All right, now we're down to the, and I don't like these things. They are not fun to put together and take apart. There's usually a funky spring in here that you have to finagle around to get in and out. But let's go ahead and let's take this screw out. That's for your casting trip. Okay, let's see, is there anything? Okay, this one doesn't have a funky spring there. That's good. I like that. Okay, although that needs to be scrubbed, we'll put that with the body. Okay, this, okay, it has a clip, an E-clip in here. Let's brush that a bit so you can see it. There it is. Okay, now if you try to take that off in that position, it won't work. You won't be able to get it off because it'll just hit up against the body. Okay, so if you rotate it around though, like that, so that it's facing, the back wall of it is facing out, you should be able to hook a screwdriver into one of the slots and pop it out of there. There we go, like that. And we'll move that over to the side. And we should then be able to pull this out. Oh, and I just popped the spring loose. So we'll have to remember how that goes if we can. There we go, there's the pin. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take the roller assembly apart. I should have taken that apart first, I think. There we go. Okay, now there's a washer that goes on the inside. All right, like that. Let's put the screw back in. Now hold that. Okay, that just needs to be cleaned a little bit and lubricated. Okay, let's go to the other side and let's remove this screw. There we go, and now the bail wire will come off. Okay, now let's take a look at the trip mechanism in this one. Okay. Okay, there's the trip lever. There's the spring. Now if you look real careful, let's zoom in for a second. Now you can see the spring. The spring is hooked under it right here. Comes up, goes around the post and back over to this side. Now you should then be able to take this lever out and the spring should still stay. And it did. Okay, see the spring? Now you can get a really good look at how the spring's installed. Okay, let's go ahead now and take the spring out. There we go. It's got those over here. And we'll scrub that up too. And this piece we're going to leave in place. It doesn't have a spring or anything, and we should be able to clean it all right where it sits. So let's go to this side now. Yep, let's zoom back in, or back out. Okay. remove this screw. And now we can take this plate off. And there is our torsion spring. Well, that's not a torsion spring, it's a scissor spring. I call it a scissor spring. I couldn't tell you what the real name of it is. They just call it a spring, probably in the schematics. Okay, there it is. And it looks like it's reversible. Looks like it can go in either way. And I kind of like when they do that. All right, that brings us to this. This has just got to get a regular scrub. Okay, so we're going to scrub this, 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 and this. Okay, all of those are going to the sink to be scrubbed. And then we've got this pile over here that is going into the basket. So let me set the basket down here, and I'll show you what we're putting in there. Okay, main gear, anti-reverse cam, crosswind block, crosswind gear, rear drag spindle, pinion gear, front bushing, rear drag adjuster. All right, the rest of those, oh, side bushing, side bushing. All right, that's got all of those. I'll take those over and put them out. Tell you what, let's go ahead and throw in the bell wire too. And we're going to put all of those into mineral spirits and put them in my cleaner, and we'll see how they come out. All right, now this pile of parts here is going to be scrubbed in the sink and cleaned up, and hopefully it'll look a lot better when you see it next. All right, I'm back. The parts are clean, or cleaner. This really was another really hard reel to get cleaned. I'm not sure what the situation was. It's almost like this reel was sitting in this position in a shed on a dirt road. And years and years and years of cars driving up and down that road had dust settle into it. And somehow it managed to get inside it as well as onto it. And because it was all along this edge here was completely packed up, full of dirt and mud. The leading edge of this was everything that was facing this direction. All of this right here, all collected this dirt, and it was everywhere. It was all inside the spool. It was all packed up down inside of here. So yeah, it was a mess. Anyway, it's all cleaned out now, or mostly cleaned out. I think it's good enough to actually get out there and get back serviceable and start working out on the lake again. So let's see about getting this thing put back together. Now we've got this big giant jigsaw puzzle. And I want to say something at this point. I keep getting questions from people who seem to think that I am an expert on reels. And the reality is, folks, I'm not. 2 years ago, I knew nothing about reels until I started this project of learning these. And each reel that I open is a first for me. I don't know anything about the reel when I start. We take it apart, we figure out how it works inside, and we look at putting it back together. So I hope you guys understand that. Says I am not a reel expert. I couldn't tell you, you know, what the line capacities of these are and all this kind of, I don't know. So let's go ahead and see about starting to put this thing back together. I think we're going to start off by putting this rotor back together. I think that's probably going to be our best bet. And if you remember, this piece here had this spring down inside it. And we're going to zoom in just a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. Okay. And this spring was in here. And it went over this post right here and then down on this side over here. And that's how that spring went. Pretty simple, right? And then this piece here is a hook assembly. And it fits in here, goes on that post. And then it rides up and around. Let's see. Hang on, I gotta get it in the right position. Is it on this side of it? So that it moves this direction. Is that the way it works? I don't remember. Yeah, that's the way it works. Okay. That's how it goes. Just like that. I was thinking it was going to be on this side. But it appears that that's the way that it works. Let's see if it can even fit in there that way. I don't think it can. No. It cannot. Okay, so I had it the right way. Just like that. Okay. We've got that in. Now, we should be able to go ahead and put the side plate on, which that would be, I've got 2 side plates. I think it's going to be this one. Nope, it's not this one. So it has to be the other one. So it's this one. Okay. And let's go ahead and oil this pin a little bit there to keep that from wearing. And then we'll set this in place, slide it up in there like that, and that should be ready for the screw to go back in. Just like that. And I need to quit saying just like that. Okay, that's in. Let's come to this side, and this side only has the one spring. This one here, the scissor style spring, and it fits in here into this hole over here, down like that. And then this part of it's going to kind of sit up in there like that. And that's as far as we're going to take that for the moment. But we are going to go ahead and put some grease in here. It'll help that spring slide easier. Okay. Now we will set this side plate back on and put its screw back in. Now we're ready. Try to put this post back on. Okay, and it goes, that pin, that little spring pin, fits in this hole. See that little hole right there? Well, it's going to fit into that hole. And then, once that's done, we've got to get this to ride around and fit in there. There we go. We're in the hole. And we need to put the pin back in. We've got this pin that fits through here. Let's go ahead and put a little oil on the pin. Give it a good pivot point. Slide that into the assembly, like so. And we lost our feet on the spring. Okay, let's try it again. Take the pin back out. Let's see about getting back on the spring again. Okay. Okay, get it to line up. And let's see about putting the pin in. There we go. Okay. That pin is not going down all the way because we can't put the clip on it. There it goes. Had to maneuver it over just a little bit to get it to go the rest of the way in the hole. Okay, with that done, we can set this E-clip back in place. Like so. And then we want to get that to pop back on, like that. Okay. All right, that's got that part done. Now we've got this lever, which is going to slide onto a post. Let's see here. Like that. And then, yeah. And then this screw, this long pivot screw here, goes into this hole. Okay, there you go. Okay, and all that's pivoting on that post right there. So let's put a little oil on the post. All right. Now, this roller assembly went through the parts cleaner. I haven't taken it apart since it went in there, but it sure is moving a lot more freely than it did. Okay, we're going to set that washer down because that washer right there is going to fit over the top of this. Let's take this off. And let's make sure there's no dirt in there, and there's not. Okay, slide that back on in place. We're going to slip this washer on, but I think I'd like to have a little grease on there to help hold it in place. Set that on the end so it lines up. And we're going to take this screw, slide it in here, get on the screwdriver, put the screwdriver on, get it on lined up, and there we go. Now we're not going to tighten it all the way down. We just want to gently snug it and see where we stand on this side. Okay, now this has got to move that lever, so we've got to get this in to where it can get on there. Okay, that's easy enough. And that gives us a screw to put in. All right. And then this lever should trip like that. And it did. Let's go ahead though and add a little oil to it. Okay. All right, so we have the rotor now functioning, cleaned, and ready to go. Set that over to the side. I think we're ready now to start putting the drag assembly back together. So let's work on that. We're going to need this part, and pardon all this dirt, but all this dirt came out of this, so I can't get this changed out until after I've got this back together. So I'm going to get this one finished, and we'll see about getting another rag down here. All right. There's our layout for our drag washers. Okay. We are going to put in this phenolic in the front, and this clicker cog right here is going to go forward in just like that. Okay, so let's set that one in place, then we'll set this plastic one on. Then we put on this eared washer. Then this next phenolic. And then next goes the keyed washer, and it's got to key to the inside of this. See how that fits on there? Just perfect. Okay, then goes the next phenolic washer, and finally goes this other eared washer. And you've got to line those up. Those ears have got to be lined up so that they're right there together, because when this goes in, if you look down inside here, you've got this little channel right here. One here and one over here, and that's what those ears fit into. So you've got to get that to line up and go in there. Okay, we're going to set this in. Now the easy way to do this, if I had bothered to clean this, the easy way to do this is to slide all of this onto the axle shaft like this. Okay, so that it all is staying together like this. And then we're going to take this, line up those ears with those slots, and then we just slide it all in and make sure that everything stays where it belongs. You might need to tap it down a little bit here and there. like that. And that's what it should look like when it's all in there, and then you just slide the axle shaft back out. Next to go in is going to be this piece, but it's got to have this big spring inside it. Okay, so we're going to set the spring in. And if you want, it sure wouldn't hurt. I've seen a lot of these come out corroded over the years. So I would take and put a little grease inside it. Put a little grease on the threads. Put a little grease on these splines. And again, none of this needs grease to lubricate it, except maybe the threads a little bit. It's there more to protect it from corrosion than anything else. Okay, once you got that done, add a little bit onto the spring itself to help protect it. I've seen a lot of these really badly rusted over the years in other reels. Okay, we're going to set this spring back inside here. And now we're ready to set it inside here and start to screw it down. Okay, you got to get it to screw in far enough to go past where this spring is right here. Okay, or where the spring should be. There we go, we got a nice gap there. Now we can take this spring and hook it into the slot like that. Get the other side in the groove. And let's see if this is the way we want to go. I think it'll go just fine this way. You just push it along until it snaps in like that. With it snapped in on both sides. Now those springs, if you look inside here, serves two purposes. One is when you adjust this, it goes click, 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 because those little springs are hitting on these cogs right here. Second purpose is it keeps it from being able to unscrew and fall out. Okay, so let's go ahead and set this up. And now we can unscrew it, and it will only go so far before it backs up against that spring like that. Now it's locked up and it can't come out. Okay. There's your adjustment on your drag. And let's go ahead now and put this screw back in. All right, we're going to loosen the drag as far as it will go, just like that, so that when we go to adjust this in, it's ready to be adjusted, or it's ready for the accept the axle shaft going in and allow it to turn. All right, before we forget, let's go ahead and put this bottom bushing in, and it's going to go down here in the bottom. And if you look, there are two little ears on this, and they have to go into two little slots down inside here, one on this side and one on this side. Okay, so we're going to grab hold of this with something that can actually reach down in there, and we'll set that bushing in place, drop it in, and make sure that those ears drop down. Otherwise, it will not go back in all the way. Okay, now we're going to take our crosswind gear, and where the crosswind gear fits down here in the bottom, we're going to put some grease right there. This excess grease out of here. Okay, we're going to take this grease now and put it on the crosswind gear itself. And then we're going to set that down inside on that post. And we're going to leave this post to the rear. Next, we're going to take our crosswind block, add some grease inside this little slot right here that post rides in. And then we're going to set this crosswind block down inside on top, over top of that post. Then we're down to this gear. Let's go ahead and grease the gear. We'll start off with the crosswind gear on there. And then we're going to put grease on the gear teeth. All right, now if this were a bronze gear or bushing down in here, I would probably oil this, but since it's a plastic gear, I'm going to go ahead and grease it. And I'm going to put a little grease down here where this spring rides for the anti-reverse. And now comes the fun part. We get to line this up, and if you look, we've got to take this spring right here. See this little tag into the spring? It has to fit into this slot right here. Let's go ahead and release the anti-reverse so it can move around a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead before I forget, and we'll put some oil around that anti-reverse lever so that it will be free moving. And then we're going to set this gear down inside here, getting that spring. Let's see, and they were nice enough to give us a window. So we're going to bring that wire over to there, right in the middle of that window. Can you see it in there? See that wire is in the middle of the window? That way you can see down in there and see that that wire is going into that slot. And then we'll ease this in and get that wire into that slot. Now, you'll know that you got it because see how the anti-reverse lever will go up and down as you move back and forth? There you go. That way you know you've got it. We're going to add a little bit of grease to the back here and make sure that you put this shim washer on if you had one. Make sure it's back where it belongs. Next, we're going to assemble the pinion. And the pinion, I believe, this piece will go in like this, up against here like this. But this piece will fit in behind it. But it's got to have, first off, we got to put some grease up inside here. Let's go ahead and grease the pinion shaft. I've already greased the pinion gear. And we'll slide this on. We're going to put this shim washer onto the anti-reverse cam. And we're going to slide that in like so. That should all fit down like that. Put that in there. We should be able to take the pinion gear and slide it in. There we go. Got it meshed into the main gear. And let's see about where our anti-reverse. Yeah, our anti-reverse is fitting exactly where it belongs. That shim lifts it up just that little bit to mate and mesh all that perfect. Let's go ahead and put our screws in. Let's adjust the cam around to get it out of the way. And turn it over. Let's adjust the camera around again to get it out of the way. All right, now if we activate the anti-reverse switch, we are no longer working because apparently I allowed this to come out and the wire is no longer in the hole. Okay, so let's clear the grease out of the hole. Let's set the wire back into the hole, right in dead center. And let's set it back in so that wire goes down in that slot. And it is. Okay, we rotate this now. It's not catching. Oh, because I got it flipped off. There we go. It's probably in the right position before. Okay, turn it off. Rotate this around to put the anti-reverse back where it belongs. And we're ready to put the rotor back on, line up the flats. All right, when you go to put the rotor on, the first thing you want to do is you want to back pedal your anti-reverse all the way until it's activated right there. When you've done that now, you can put your rotor on, but make sure that your trigger right here is by the foot. If you don't, then you're going to be 180 degrees out. Ask me how I know. Yeah, that's right. I put all this together and wasn't paying attention, and I did exactly that. So make sure that you do that. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem. Now, ask me if I knew that to begin with. Yeah, I did, and I still forgot to do it. You can take one of the tabs and bend it up, and that will lock the nut in place. All right, let's back this up one more time. There we go. You got to keep that anti-reverse. Sorry. You've got to keep that crosswind gear where it belongs. Okay, now let's go ahead and oil this axle shaft. Slide it in through the pinion and drops into the crosswind gear, and then you got to rotate the shaft around until it goes into the drag, and then you should be able to move it around. See how the drag's moving? It's because it's not tightened down. When you tighten the drag down, that'll go away. Okay, now let's go ahead with that in there, and we should be able to adjust this around until we get that crosswind gear all the way down, and something isn't right. It may not be on the post. May have slipped off the post. Okay, let's adjust this to there. It appears to be on the post. It's all the way down. It's good. Let's try this again. Okay, that goes through. That looks good. Okay, the axle shaft was just down too far. Okay, we got that figured out. All right, now that we have that, we can go ahead and put this clip back in that we took out. Okay, the clip's going to go in on each side, and it will line up with the slots in the axle shaft, like that. Push it down, and let's put that screw in. Now, I do prefer axle shafts that are set up like this, where you've got the screw. Actually, I really prefer it when they screw directly to the axle shaft so that there's no play. See how there's still a little bit of play in that? I prefer not to have that setup. But this setup is far superior to the ones that have just the little E-clips that clip on there. All right, we got that in. We're going to take this bushing and set it back into this side plate like that. I'm going to add a little bit of grease here because I probably wiped off what little I put on there before. There's the shim washer still there where it belongs. And we're going to set this up. Usually these fit tighter than that, and they'll just stay in. Okay, so since it fell out once, it'll probably fall out again, and we'll, look, it's already trying to fall out again. All right, we'll stand it up and slide it on. There we go. Now we've got 4 screws to put back in the side. All right. There we go. Let's back this out a little more. Set that over to this side. And let's try putting this ugly handle. This really needs a paint job, but Mario can handle that if he wants to. We're going to slide that in. And we're going to put a screw back in. Oh, wait a minute. This is a Mario. Well, it came this way. So we're going to leave it over here this way. No, I'm going to go ahead. I know Mario fishes right-handed. So we're going to go ahead and move this handle. I don't like them on this side, but Mario does, so we're going to put it back over here. Okay. Remember, we left this loose. We're going to go ahead now and tighten it down. Okay. I'll see how it works. Perfect. All right. The reel's a little bit slow, but I think that's because we put grease on that main bushing instead of putting the oil on it. But that was just to smooth it out. All right. Let's take a look at the drag. It should click when we rotate it. And it does. All right. Now let's tighten the drag. Oh yeah, let's loosen it up a little bit. There we go. Loosen up a little more. Nice. Okay. Now the way this reel is designed to operate, when you back pedal it, it's I've got it 180 degrees out. I forgot about that. Oh, and it's not an easy swap either. All right, went back in, fixed it, took care of the incorrectly mounted rotor, and we're going to put the cover back on. One thing I would like to do is I try to clean these out inside here as best I can and blow them out with the air compressor, and then I want to put a drop of oil in them because it keeps them working, or seems to keep them working. But you do need to clean the old oil out prior to doing it. Okay, there's our drag. There's our drag. Nice. Okay. And anti-reverse override. There we go. Bail. That works. Let's try triggering the bail. There we go. There we go. I'm not real crazy about that style. I don't use it when I do have them. I've got a couple of reels that have that, and I just don't use it on them. I manually flip the bail. And the other problem I got with it is that your anti-reverse is only once every 360 degrees, and I'm not crazy about that. But anyway, there you have the ABU Garcia Appexx reel. I don't see a model number anywhere on it. It says it's a 3000. Okay, yeah. And it's more than capable of going out and taking on a redfish. So I'm sure that Mario will put it to work out there on his boat and have at it. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Tell me what you didn't like. For now, that's Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels signing out.